There is something happening in the crypto market right now that I believe could be signaling a shift in crypto that would catch almost every crypto investor by surprise. And in today's video, I'm going to tell you exactly what that thing is. Now, if you don't know who I am, my name is Tyler Hill, and I'm one of the co founders of the Crypto Strategy School, which services thousands of students every single month. And again, today, what we're going to do is we are going to dive into exactly what we're starting to see happening behind the scenes and why it's so important. And so, with that said, let's get straight into it. And guys, please don't forget, if you are an experienced trader, you can go capitalize on that 10% deposit bonus over on BTCC for all deposits between $500 and $100,000. This means if you deposit, say, $10,000, they're going to give you $1,000 on the spot to start trading with. And whatever profit you make from that $1,000 is yours to keep. So go check it out down below, especially considering they did just recently release isolated margin. There's so much good stuff there. Go check it out. Now, today, what we're going to be focusing in on first and foremost, talking about the shift in crypto, is Bitcoin dominance. Now, if you don't know what Bitcoin dominance is, put very simply, Bitcoin dominance is a chart that you can analyze, which tells you what is in control of the crypto market. Is it Bitcoin or is it altcoins? When Bitcoin dominance is going up, it means Bitcoin is dominating the market. When we're seeing Bitcoin dominance go down, it means that altcoins are outperforming Bitcoin or are typically doing better than Bitcoin. Now, the reason why we're focusing in on Bitcoin dominance today is because it's starting to show us something very, very interesting. What we're starting to recognize are several signals pointing in the direction that at some point, which seems possibly even soon, we are going to see Bitcoin dominance crash. Okay. Now, I know that some of you may be here, especially you might be a Bitcoin max, and you say, nope, not going to happen, never happens. And I know that sounds good, and you might want to believe that, but just hear me out. So there's three primary things that I'm recognizing here on the Bitcoin dominance chart that tells me that we could see a crash from Bitcoin dominance soon. And first and foremost, Tyler, why is it so important if Bitcoin dominance crashes? If Bitcoin dominance crash, it historically means that altcoins are outperforming Bitcoin. And in a market like we're in right now, the only thing that would cause an altcoin to outperform Bitcoin is some sort of altcoin rally, some sort of huge injection of liquidity into the altcoin market, causing them to pump more than Bitcoin. Because Bitcoin has showed so much stability recently, I don't see a world in which the Bitcoin is crashing a lot and altcoins are crashing less. No, I think it's more likely that everything is pumping, but altcoins are pumping much further than Bitcoin. And so if we do see Bitcoin dominance crash, that would again imply that some sort of altcoin rally could be inbound. Now, what are these three things that I'm recognizing? Well, it comes down to this: structure, volume, divergence. Okay. Structure, volume, divergence. Let me break them down. First and foremost, structure. What we can see here is that Bitcoin dominance is creating what's called an ascending structure. And although, from more of a fundamental perspective, ascending structures can be very clearly seen as a good thing because you're setting higher highs and higher lows and you're in an uptrend, the reality is that ascending structures are historically short to midterm bearish. And what I mean by that is they will almost always break to the downside. And by almost always, we're talking an over 90% chance that an ascending structure of this nature, especially at the top of a macro move, will break to the downside. And so, first things first, we are in a structure right now that historically has an over 90% chance of breaking downwards. Now, while Bitcoin dominance is venturing through this ascending structure, we are also seeing something very clear happening with Bitcoin dominance's volume. What we can see clearly is that Bitcoin dominance has been putting in higher high after higher high after higher high, climbing upwards. But as this is happening, Bitcoin dominance's volume is falling. And historically speaking, when Bitcoin dominance or just a crypto asset in general is seeing its volume falling while its price is increasing, it usually means that the strength of that move is falling itself. So sure, we are climbing, but the strength of this climb is diminishing. You can imagine it as if you're throwing a ball in the air. You throw a ball in the air, right? And you start to see it go up, 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 up into a point where it's still going upwards, but you know how it kind of does that little curve right before it kind of curves off and starts falling? That little slowdown in volume right before the fall is what you can see happening here with Bitcoin dominance's volume. It means that we are going up, 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 and up, but as we're going higher and higher, we are starting to see the momentum of that move upwards slowing down. And lastly, in addition to that, you can also see it starting to play out in the short term here with Bitcoin dominance's RSI. The RSI is the relative strength index, and quite simply, it is just another measurement of how the move itself that we're seeing is holding up. Are we seeing this move gaining in momentum or losing momentum, which is hence why it's called the relative strength index. And what we can see here is that as we are seeing Bitcoin dominance climbing in the short term, putting in higher highs, look what's happening with the RSI. Lower highs. This is a very similar thing to wood volume in the sense that this is a representation that although we are seeing Bitcoin dominance climbing, it's losing momentum. And that's not to say it can't pick up momentum. It still, of course, can rally in momentum, but it will be very difficult. Okay. It's very hard to break out of this loss of momentum that we're seeing right here, especially from more of a macro perspective. And what these things mean, what they imply, is that we very well might see Bitcoin dominance not only pull back towards the bottom side of this channel at some point within the next, say, couple weeks or so, maybe a couple months at most, but I don't really see us getting all the way to June. I think it's more likely it's sometime in May, but possibly that we actually pull out of this and we do start to see altcoins mass outperforming Bitcoin for what could be a couple hard days or a couple weeks at a time, which would be a very interesting thing to happen here in the crypto market. Now, in order to kind of substantiate my claim that I think that we may at some point in the coming weeks or months see Bitcoin dominance fall out of here, let's go look at what's happening with altcoins. What we're recognizing in the world of altcoins right now is that the majority of them are reaching what are called macro support levels. Macro support levels, and this is Ethereum, by the way, but macro support levels are key levels of support that they should be able to hold, that the bulls should be able to step in and start trying to push the price out of it. For example, you look at something like Ethereum. Ethereum has come back down to this golden zone, and the golden zone is generally the level where you will see ETH try to find some support and try to continue upwards. You look at something like Solana. Solana is also in a macro zone of support. It just held that zone of support, had a fake out from that zone of support, and is now trying to use it to push upwards. You look at something like XRP. XRP is creating a descending channel, which historically will push upwards as it is now hitting a macro level of support because, again, we had this previous point of resistance, now trying to flip it into support. All of your most important altcoins right now are showing us signs and signals that they're hitting key support levels or forming structures that could push their prices upwards. And while we're seeing them hit those support levels, we're also seeing Bitcoin dominance losing momentum. And when you put two and two together, guys, that tells me very clearly that we just might see these altcoins hold those support levels, break out of those descending structures, and try to use that momentum to climb upwards, forcing Bitcoin dominance towards the downside. Another thing that we can use to substantiate this is what we are seeing here over on Altcoin Season Index and Crypto Market RSI Heat Map. On the Bitcoin Season and Altcoin Season Index, you can see that over the last month, we're actually starting to see a loss of momentum here on the Bitcoin season reading. Yes, we've been in Bitcoin season, but we're creating descending structure. And historically, when we create structure like this on the Bitcoin season index, you are usually going to see some sort of bottoming out and some sort of rally soon thereafter, like we did there, like we did after a little while here, and kind of like we did there as well. And what this tells me is that this move into Bitcoin season could be coming towards some sort of close sometime soon, at least for some sort of relief rally here for the altcoins, maybe something that looks like this. When you do pair that with the RSI heat map, the picture becomes even clearer. You look at the RSI heat map and you can see that almost every macro RSI for every altcoin is below neutral. There are some exemptions. You have XRP, CRV, TRX, SMR, Bell, ARK, and whatever that is. These are all above it. But everything else, for the most part, is either in the weak or oversold zone. We have ETH itself approaching the oversold zone for what could be the first time in years. Most altcoins are oversold. Most altcoins are very low. And they're giving us the signs that they want to see some sort of relief, that they want to see some sort of rally. And as they're giving us these signs, it is forcing Bitcoin dominance to lose its momentum. And so when I start pairing all of these things together, what it tells me is that we very well might see altcoins outperform Bitcoin soon. And the only world that I think that happens in right now is with altcoins pumping and Bitcoin pumping less. Because if the market does get really scary and really ugly and everything crashes, I cannot imagine that in a risk-off environment like we're in right now, that altcoins would just fall less than Bitcoin. It's more likely that Bitcoin would fall less than altcoins, which would then imply it's outperforming, which would then imply that we're still going upwards. And so the way that I see it is that if slash when the time comes that Bitcoin dominance decides to break down out of this ascending structure, whether it be today, whether it be tomorrow, whether it be in June, I don't know when it's going to happen. I'm just saying I think it's going to happen sometime. I think it's going to imply that altcoins are pumping more than Bitcoin. And that'll be an opportunity to really see a lot of relief for you altcoin holders. Now, going forward, what's my strategy? Right? Does this mean that we just ape into every altcoin that we can, just buy every altcoin that we can? What's the strategy? Because you all know that I believe a strategy is what creates a winning investor. And prior to telling you my strategy, let me just remind you all, if you are someone who wants to become a winning investor, that is someone that I define as confident, as consistent. If that's what you want, you listening, if that's what you want to become confident and consistent in this market, you must create a strategy. And what we do over at the Crypto Strategy School, which again services thousands of students every month, is we take crypto investors like yourselves and we give you the tools and the strategies that you need to become a winning investor. Because a strategy is, again, the only thing that creates a winning investor. Because you need to be confident because your strategy works and you need a strategy that's consistent. Without this, there is no this. And so if you're someone who wants to, again, become a winning investor, head to the link down below. Go check out the Crypto Strategy School. And the best part is, if you don't see growth within the first few hours, guys, I'll just give you your money back. I think that's a fair trade. If you don't find value within the first few hours, I'll just give you your money back. That's how confident I am. So go check out the link down below, again, if you want to become confident and consistent in this market. Now, moving along, what's my strategy? Well, my strategy for now does remain the same. Because although we are seeing a shift in the market right now, although we are seeing foreshadowing that soon, one day, altcoins will outperform Bitcoin, we're not seeing it yet. And at this exact moment, when I'm recording this video, we are still in Bitcoin season. Bitcoin dominance is still climbing, and we are still seeing outperformance by Bitcoin. And so what this means is we do still need to be looking at Bitcoin. Because reality is here, guys, we might not see altcoins outperform for Bitcoin for another 2 months. And in those 2 months, we see the whole market crash again. And we see Bitcoin falling, altcoins falling worse. And so although it is exciting to see that altcoins are getting a little bit of momentum upwards at some point soon here, Bitcoin is still in control, and that's what we need to be watching closely. So my strategy remains the same, as I've told you about a tons of times here, and I've told you about a tons of times over in the school, right? Over in the school. My strategy is just this. I take profit in the red zone. I dollar cost average at the 50% line on the descending channel, and I dollar cost average in the green zone. Simply put, I buy a little bit here, I buy a lot more here, I take profit here. And whatever Bitcoin does is what I do with my altcoins. So yesterday, I took profits on all, like 1% profits out of all my altcoins. If Bitcoin falls down to this level, I'm going to buy a little bit of Bitcoin and a little bit of altcoins. And if Bitcoin falls all the way down to this green zone, I'm going to buy a lot of Bitcoin and a lot of altcoins. So I am still using Bitcoin to determine what to do with my altcoin positions right now, but I'm becoming more and more aware that there might be a decoupling from Bitcoin and altcoins sometime soon. And so although this is my strategy right now, because this is the market we have right now, as we do start getting more and more signals that Bitcoin dominance clearly is going to start losing here, then I'll start shifting my attention a bit more off of Bitcoin back in the direction of altcoins. So for now, I'm not changing anything. I'm not aping into altcoins. I'm not doing any of that stuff right now. I'm simply just sticking to my strategy, which is I took some profits and I'm waiting to see if we break this zone or not. But as this does continue to develop, don't be surprised if I do start to shift my strategy more towards my altcoin accumulation strategy, because you guys know I have strategies for everything, because that's what a winning investor does. Okay. And so for now, TLDR, we are still sticking to the strategy. I'm still not doing anything. I'm taking profits in here and waiting to see if we break out or not. If we break out, I'm going to open up some leverage trades with trailing stop losses set below me. If we don't break out, I'm going to accumulate on my 2 DCA zones. But while this is happening, it's important to start paying attention to alts again, because we're finally getting the signals that Bitcoin dominance could be in trouble. And so I'll keep you all updated as this all does play out, but make sure that you do this. Set your homework. Your homework for tonight is to go on Bitcoin dominance and draw in this structure. draw in your ascending channel, pull up your volume, pull up your RSI, and watch these three things very closely, because these things are what are going to determine when we do eventually see Bitcoin dominance crash out of here. Okay, so that's your homework. In the meantime, guys, head to the link down below. Go check out the school again if you want to become an investor who is confident and consistent. And don't forget to go get your 10% bonus over on BTCC if that does interest you and you are an experienced trader or investor. But overall, of course, I hope you guys did enjoy today's video, and I can't wait to see you all in the next one. Peace out, everybody.